Over spring break, we completed our externship at Center Wildlife Care located in Port Matilda, Pennsylvania. Center Wildlife Care is a 501c3 nonprofit, tax-exempt, licensed organization dedicated to caring for injured, orphaned, sick, and displaced wildlife for the purposes of releasing them back into the wild. Professional care is provided to 1,000 mammals, birds, and reptiles per year. Center Wildlife Care is an all-volunteer organization.
The clinic area is located in the basement of a family home. The director and founder, Robin Grabowski, is a trained and licensed wildlife rehabilitator and has been rehabilitating wildlife since 1988. Robin is licensed by the Pennsylvania Game Commission, the Federal Fish and Wildlife Service, and the USDA. Robin also appears in Central PA Live Wildlife Wednesdays.
Center Wildlife Care relies on donations from the general public, fundraising events, and a few small grants from local businesses such as Walmart and Petco. Center Wildlife Care gets no funding from the government and relies on a volunteer staff. For more information, visit centerwildlifecare.org. Here is a photo of Robin on Central PA Live.
At Center Wildlife Care, there are educational animals and rehabilitation animals. The education animals are animals that are too compromised to release back into the wild. CWC offers a variety of educational programs to any group that would like to increase awareness of native wild animals. These are the animals that are used. All programs include information about CWC, natural history of wild animals in the program, and what to do if you find a wild animal that needs help. CWC has all the required licensing to do educational programs with wild animals from the PA Game Commission, the Federal Fish and Wildlife Service, the Fish and Boat Commission, and the USDA. The rest of the animals are rehabilitation animals that are orphaned, injured, or sick wild animals being cared for until they can be released back into the wild. Injuries are usually a result of a human influence, such as hit by a car, construction, landscaping, caught by a cat or dog, shot, or poisoned.
The first thing you do when you come into CWC for your shift is do a walkthrough to check on all the animals. Then, one person does the feeding and cleaning in the rehab room, while the other does the feeding and cleaning in the education room. This takes a while because every animal is different and requires specific care. When cleaning the cages, some of the animals are let out. Sometimes it's a challenge when it comes to catching the animal and putting it back into its cage. After the rehab and education room are complete, the garage animals must be fed and cleaned out. Once an animal is released back into the wild, the cage and crate that it was kept in has to be strictly cleaned and sanitized.
Once all of the animals that are eating on their own are fed, the remaining animals must be tube fed. This is a red-shouldered hawk with severe lead poisoning. Next, food is prepared and weighed out for the raptors in the outside enclosures. This is when we cut up mice, rats, and chicks. The heads of the mice and rats are cut off and the stomach and intestines are removed. The rest of the body parts, including organs, are left alone. 24 hours after the animals were fed, the remaining food is weighed. This allows us to note how much the animal has eaten.
Once a month, the education birds in the outside enclosures are brought in to be weighed and to clip their nails. This is to check their current health status. The rehabilitation turtles and snakes require daily soakings. This is to prevent dehydration.
Dr. Ritchie from Animal Medical Hospital comes once a week to check on all of the animals. Some miscellaneous errands we had to run include picking up feeder fish at Petco in Altoona for the grebe and dropping off a dead bat to the animal diagnostic lab to be tested for rabies.
A trumpeter swan made its way to CWC all the way from Canada. This is the second time this swan has crossed the border and ended up in a rehabilitation facility in the U.S. The swan was found on the side of the road with a trail of blood. The swan was tagged, and Robin found that she was owned by a family and named Ava after their daughter that had passed. The swan had a severely injured foot as well as an extremely high level of lead poisoning.
The lead poisoning was so severe that the swan could not walk or hold its head up. The swan was required to be tube fed. She was brought to the vet for x-rays on her foot and her entire body. 2 of the doctors evaluated the swans and decided it would probably be best to amputate the toe. The x-ray on her body allowed for us to conclude there weren't any lead pellets present. It was very rewarding to observe the swan's recovery throughout the week. By the end of the week, the swan was walking around and holding its head up on its own.
And